And we're back. Shocking. Nazi billboard of Trump appears, and you'll never guess who paid for it. A billboard depicting President Trump as a Nazi appeared in Phoenix, and it was allegedly funded by taxpayer dollars. If you live in the Phoenix area, your tax dollars paid for this sign. From Judicial Watch, a controversial billboard depicting President Trump as a Nazi was funded with taxpayer dollars and was commissioned by an artist advocate paid by the U.S. city to diminish barriers. Records obtained by Judicial Watch reveal the massive billboard caused a ruckus when it was unveiled in downtown Phoenix, Arizona in mid-March because it features a menacing portrait of Trump surrounded by mushroom clouds in the shape of laughing clowns and swastikas modified as dollar signs. A pin of a Russian flag appears on the president's lapel. The huge display towers over Grand Avenue and Taylor Street in downtown Phoenix and will remain there throughout Trump's presidency, according to the local art gallery that claims to own it and conveniently omits that public money is involved. A multitude of local and national media outlets covered the controversy surrounding the artist that created it and the contentious image it portrays, but all have failed to uncover the important fact that taxpayer dollars are behind it. Instead, the media has reported that Trump Nazi billboard was commissioned by the billboard owner, Beatrice Moore, a longtime patron of the arts on Grand Avenue. Moore's deep ties to the city and the cash she receives for her various public art endeavors have remained secret. The news reports have also focused on the death threats that the artist, Karen Fiorito, has received. A local paper reported that the billboard went up during an annual art event and that the artist aimed to stir up controversy. Well, I would say that they had succeeded. Mainstream national media also failed to report the important fact that taxpayer dollars contributed to the offensive billboard. The Washington Post opted to serve as a mouthpiece for Fiorito's anti-Trump tirade. In a piece published days after the billboard controversy hit, the artist calls Trump supporters scumbags and says the country is on a very dangerous path toward total annihilation. A California news outlet focused on Fiorito's death threats and her interpretation of the art, which represents global destruction, warfare, and annihilation of the planet. The dollar swastikas represent corporate power and greed, and how our society has become all about money and corporatism, the artist says in the story. Well, it is quite funny that they would depict Trump in that sort of light, as Trump didn't actually have to run for president, did he? He was actually quite rich, quite happy, and the left loved him before he started running. But the way she depicts corporate power and greed and how our society has become all about money and corporatism, look no further than Hillary Clinton's campaign. Where did she get all her money from? Corporations. Shortly after the billboard was erected, Judicial Watch filed a public records request with the city of Phoenix to obtain details related to public monies connected to organizations and organizers of the sign. This week, Judicial Watch received the documents that show the city of Phoenix has awarded Moore, the Trump Nazi billboard owner and a prominent figure in the local art community, thousands of dollars in grants for a program she runs called Grand Avenue Arts and Preservation, also known as GAP, which encompasses the Art Detour event where the Nazi billboard made its debut. The public-funded annual art celebration is touted as having a diverse slate of activities created by local artists and art venues to celebrate the growing, vibrant Phoenix art scene, and is described as one of the most important events in Phoenix's calendar by Phoenix Mayor Greg Stanton. The event is produced by a group called ArtLink, which was founded by Moore in partnership with the city of Phoenix. Former Phoenix Deputy City Manager Rick Neymark, who retired in 2015 with a hefty pension, sits on the board of ArtLink. And this is modern art. I do find it pretty scary, in fact, the regression of what art is. Because if you look at Beethoven and other great painters and Michelangelo and people from the Renaissance, they far surpass our current artists. Our current artists in music and drawing is absurd compared to the past. Far less sophisticated, far less complicated, and to me, modern art is garbage. Wow, Seattle to begin offering safe spaces for this astonishing act. Seattle will become the first city in the United States to offer safe spaces for heroin use. From Zero Hedge. Modeled after similar programs in Europe, Australia, and Canada, Seattle is on track to become the first city in the United States where heroin addicts can legally shoot up at a supervised healthcare facility. The controversial program is intended to reduce the number of overdose deaths by bringing users out of the alleys and into safe spaces where overdoses can be treated immediately. All at taxpayers' expense, of course. This new concept goes one step beyond needle exchange programs that exist in other cities intended to decrease the spread of disease through dirty needles. The goal of the program, as Dr. Nora Volkow, director of the National Institute on Drug Abuse, points out, is to reduce the occurrence of ancillary diseases such as HIV that result from heroin use and cost hundreds of thousands of dollars to treat, per the Washington Examiner. Dr. Nora Volkow, director of the National Institute on Drug Abuse, part of the National Institutes of Health, said not taking action to reduce the spread of those diseases would be irresponsible from a public health perspective. Cutting even one HIV infection would save $379,000 in lifetime costs, according to the NIDA data. King County spends $1.2 million annually on its needle exchange program, allowing the program to essentially pay for itself if 3 infections are prevented per year. Cutting infections by 1% in King County would save more than $70 million in HIV-related medical costs, the county's website states. As CNN noted, safe injection centers have been around in Vancouver, Canada since at least 2013, but despite claims they save hundreds of lives each year, actual data from the Ministry of Public Safety and Solicitor General would suggest that drug overdose deaths have skyrocketed since that time, impossible. Of course, such programs are not without their critics, as one Washington state senator says, toleration is not compassionate, it is a signal of defeat. Republican State Senator Mark Milicia proposed a bill to ban secure injection zones in Washington, and the bill is sitting in committee in the Senate. Toleration is not compassionate. It is a signal of defeat. We cannot give up on drug users. In the end, these sites will only distract us from getting resources into real, medically proven treatment options, Milicia said. John P. Walters, Director of Drug Control Policy in George W. Bush's administration, agreed to the only safe approach to heroin is not to take it. Supporting addicts' heroin use maintains their disease, administering the poison that causes their illness and diminishes their lives. A government-approved place for unlimited heroin injection creates the conditions for never-ending addiction and gives government a drug dealer's power over the addicted, Walters wrote in an op-ed. We do not protect addicts by reviving them from overdose death only to return them to death's front door, perpetrating the self-destructive cycle of addiction. And so true it is, just like the saying, never give a drunk a drink. Pat Buchanan, media and Dems want to overturn the results of last November's election. And they will continue at it, especially with this Russia thing. Pat Buchanan, media and Dems want to overturn the results. Not gonna happen. Make America great again. Let's take a look.
The whole D.C. octopus, if you will, has targeted Trump the way it targeted Nixon and succeeded, targeted Reagan, didn't bring him down in Iran-Contra, but it now feels it's after Donald Trump again. And what they want to do is cancel the returns from last November and basically overturn the election by a man whom they could not defeat at the polls. That's my judgment.
Why are they so contemptuous of Trump?
Well, I can understand Trump has not been a lovable person as far as they're concerned. You know, he calls the media an enemy of the people.